You ever look around and just feel like something's off? Like our world is a little out of balance? Well, what if I told you that we actually have the power to fix it? Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea for how we can redesign our world for the better. And it all starts right where we are, in our own backyards and our own communities. All right, so where do we even begin with something that big? Well, before we can jump into solutions, we got to get a handle on the problem, right? Let's take a look at the big picture, the global challenge that we're all a part of. And it really all boils down to this one simple but huge question. Are we living in balance? I mean, are we, as a global community, actually managing to take care of everyone's basic needs without wrecking the very planet that we all need to survive? It's a tough one. Okay, check this out. This visual is a really fantastic way to understand our situation. It's called the donut framework. So think of it like this. That inner ring, that's our social foundation. All the stuff we need to live a good life. Food, education, healthcare. The outer ring, that's the planet's ecological ceiling. That's how much pressure our planet can handle before things start to break. The goal, the sweet spot, is to live right there in the middle, in the donut. But just look at all that red. Those wedges show that we're falling short for people on the inside, and we're blowing right past our planet's limits on the outside. We're kind of failing on both fronts. And that brings us to this really sobering fact from recent analysis. Right now, not one single country on Earth is living inside that sweet spot. You've got wealthier nations that are way overshooting the ecological boundaries, while many other nations are still struggling just to meet the basic needs of their people. This is the core design challenge of our time. But, and this is a big but, here is where the story gets incredibly hopeful. Because facing a challenge this huge doesn't mean we're powerless. In fact, the most powerful, most incredible solutions might be a lot closer to home than you think. So, what if we just chose a different path? What if we could design our communities to work like a thriving, resilient, natural ecosystem? The way forward isn't about fighting nature. It's about learning from its genius and finally choosing to work with it. And a huge piece of this shift is something called localization. Now, this isn't about putting up walls or isolating ourselves. No way. It's about rebuilding connections. It means shortening the distance between us and our food, between us and our resources, and maybe most importantly, between us and each other. It's all about making our local communities strong and able to thrive. So, what's the toolkit that helps us do this? How do we actually start rebuilding these connections and designing more resilient communities? Well, the answer is a brilliant design system, and it's called permaculture. Now, when you hear the word permaculture, you might just think of a style of gardening, but it is so much more than that. It's a whole design philosophy. The name itself is a mashup of permanent agriculture and permanent culture, because really, you can't have one without the other. It's about looking at the patterns in nature and applying that wisdom to how we design everything, our homes, our food systems, the whole shebang. And this logo, it just perfectly captures that core idea. You see the person inside the home, which is part of the tree, which is rooted in the earth. It's this beautiful reminder that we are not separate from nature. We are deeply a part of it. And this entire philosophy is guided by a simple but really profound ethical compass. Everything in permaculture comes back to these three core ethics. First, earth care. Pretty obvious, right? We got to take care of the planet that takes care of us. Second, people care. We have to make sure that everyone, and I mean everyone, has what they need to thrive. And third, fair share. This one's about recognizing there are limits. We take what we need, and we share the surplus. That's it. Earth care, people care, fair share. It's the moral compass for every single design decision. So, okay, ethics are great, but how do we actually put them into practice? How do we go from these big ideas to actually doing stuff? Well, we do it by learning to think like nature, using a whole set of design principles. Now, there are actually 12 of these principles, but let's just look at 3 powerful ones to get a feel for it. First up, observe and interact. This is so simple, but so important. It just means look around. Pay attention to your surroundings before you jump in and try to change things. Next, use small and slow solutions. Forget the giant overnight fixes. Think about an acorn growing into a mighty oak. Real, lasting change happens through small, patient, deliberate steps. And finally, integrate rather than segregate. A forest with tons of different plants is way healthier and stronger than a field with just one crop, right? Same goes for us. We're stronger when we work together. And this is where it gets really exciting, because these principles, they don't just apply to gardens. Take that last one. Integrate rather than segregate. In a garden, that might mean planting a food forest where all the different plants help each other out. But in a community, it means creating spaces where different people and groups can connect and collaborate, strengthening the whole community. This is often called social permaculture, and it's every bit as vital as growing food. So, what does this mean for you? How can you, an everyday citizen, take these powerful ideas and start making a difference right where you live? Well, believe it or not, your journey can start right now. Here are 4 simple steps to get going. First, understand your bioregion. That just means getting to know the unique natural world right outside your door. What's the weather like? Where does your water come from? Second, learn some regenerative skills. Could be anything from making compost to learning how to run a community meeting. Third, and this is a big one, connect with local groups. You are not alone in this. And finally, just start something small, something slow. Let's make that super concrete. Let's take planting a garden. You observe your site, you build up healthy soil, you start small. But notice those last 2 points. Share extra produce with neighbors and learn to save seeds for next year. See? It's not just about growing vegetables. It's about growing community and creating self-reliance for the future. That is permaculture in action. And that really is the heart of it all. Permaculture empowers us to shift from being passive consumers to being active creators. It reminds us that real resilience, and honestly, true happiness, isn't found in being totally self-sufficient, but in being deeply connected to your community. So, as we wrap this up, I'll leave you with this question to think about. And remember, it's not just about vegetables or fruit trees. It's about the relationships you'll cultivate, the skills you'll learn, and the hope you'll nurture. So, what is the first small, slow thing that you are going to choose to grow in your community?